Hello everyone, welcome to a new video of your Polyglot Academy. Today it's lesson 49 of our series on how to learn German up to a B1 level in 1 month. And today we're going to talk about the Plusquamperfekt. So let's start. Now, what is the Plusquamperfekt? Well, the Plusquamperfekt is basically a German past tense used to describe actions that had already occurred before another past action or event. Let's consider an example. Bevor ankam, hatte ich das Essen schon gekocht. Before he arrived, I had already cooked the meal. And this complex sentence is basically made out of two sentences. We firstly have before ankam, which is the first action that took place in the past, so before he arrived. And then we have the second one, hatte ich das Essen schon gekocht, which is the second action that took place in the past. I had already cooked the meal. Now the Plusquamperfekt is used to indicate that one action, so in this case cooking the meal, was completed before the other action, so his arrival, took place. In this case, it's also very important to consider the use of before, because the use of before in the sentence highlights the temporal relationship between the two events, emphasizing that the cooking was completed before the arrival. Now, how do we form the Plusquamperfekt? Well, in this case, we can see that the Plusquamperfekt hatte gekocht is formed using the Präteritum, so the simple past, of the auxiliary verbs haben or sein. Now, in this case, we have hatte from haben, and that is combined with the Partizip zwei, past participle of the main verb. And in this case, we have gekocht from kochen. So this is basically how they form it. Now you can see how to form the Plusquamperfekt with the table. So first we have the personal pronouns, ich, du, er, sie, es, wir, ihr, sie. The personal pronouns are followed by either the Präteritum of haben, so hatte, hattest, hatte, hatten, hattet, hatten, or by the Präteritum of sein, war, warst, war, waren, wart, waren. And the auxiliary verb is followed by the Partizip zwei of the main verb. Now before we proceed, let's also consider that the auxiliary verbs used to form the perfect are the same for the Plusquamperfekt, with the only difference being that the auxiliary verb is in the Präteritum simple past instead of present tense. And this is very important to remember. While conjugating the Plusquamperfekt, think that it's basically the perfect, but with a Präteritum instead of a presence for the auxiliary verb. That is basically the same. Now, before we get into some more complex topics, let's do a small exercise. Try to form the Plusquamperfekt of the verb gehen. I'll give you 2 seconds and then I will give you the solution. The solution is ich war gegangen, du warst gegangen, er war gegangen, wir waren gegangen, ihr wart gegangen, sie waren gegangen. Now, how did we come up with this? Well, first we conjugated the Präteritum of the auxiliary verb. For gehen, we're talking about a motion, so the auxiliary verb is going to be sein. Hence, the Präteritum is going to be ich war, du warst, er war, wir waren, ihr wart, sie waren. The Präteritum is then followed by the past participle of the main verb. The main verb is gehen, and the past participle of gehen is gegangen, so we're going to have gegangen in every verb. Now, before completing this lesson, let's talk about the Plusquamperfekt with before and nachdem. Now, firstly, let's consider the sentence we already had before. Bevor ankam, hatte ich das Essen schon gekocht. In this sentence, the word before introduces the action that happened later in time, so his arrival. The main clause describes the action that occurred first, hatte gekocht, and this structure emphasizes that the cooking was completed prior to the arrival. Now let's consider the second sentence by using nachdem. If we use nachdem, we can simply build the same sentence with the same meaning, but with an inversion. Now let's consider the second sentence. Nachdem ich das Essen gekocht hatte, kam an. After I had cooked the food, he arrived. Now in this sentence, the word nachdem, after, introduces the action that first happened in time. Gekocht hatte, so had cooked the food. And the structure also emphasizes the sequence, showing that the cooking was done before the arrival, as the main clause describes the action that occurred afterward, so the fact that he arrived. Now, although the sentences use different conjunctions, before and nachdem, like convey the same sequence of events. First, he cooked the meal, then he arrived. And the key difference is basically perspective on the timeline. Before focuses on what happened later by first mentioning the subsequent action, while nachdem starts with what happened first. Now, if you understood everything, then try to do these exercises. First exercise is to basically conjugate the verb into the Plusquamperfekt. And this is not going to be difficult if you wrote down the table. And then the second exercise is going to be to fill in the correct conjunction. So either before or nachdem. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to write a comment. And after doing the exercises, I would please you to write in the comments your solutions so that I can correct them and so that you can get a direct feedback from me. Now, this is the end of the lesson. I hope you enjoyed it and have a nice day. See you next time.